G'day everyone, welcome to the Big Footy Eagles podcast for another week. Coming up on the show, we're talking a couple of things, a couple of unpleasant things. We're of course talking the Western Bulldogs defeat. The Eagles have relocated to Victoria, as have the rest of the VFL, so that's on the horizon as well. We're going to talk heroes and villains, hopefully redeem the show with that one, and then take a look to this Sunday's game between West Coast and the Sydney Swans. I'm your host, Honeybadger35. Hello. Joining me this week, once again, Miguel Sanchez. How are you?
Yeah, not too great. Been a bit of a tough few days, but I suppose you get that.
Yeah, tough one for the West Coast Eagles. Tough one for the boys. Pretty much all over. Keys, we're also joined by you. I understand that you actually had the privilege of not watching the Western Bulldogs game, so good call there. How are you feeling after the last week on the Eagles' big footy board?
Yeah, managed to dodge the game. A week's a long time in footy, isn't it? Like this time last week, we were looking at maybe challenging top four. Had all our players back. On Sunday morning, you got up. The Beagles had a big win over East Fremantle, and I think the sun might have even been shining Sunday morning for a little bit.
It was, yep.
And then everything turned to shit.
We
lost. We lost. We've gone into lockdown. The sides in Melbourne. The AFL's regressed 40 years back to the VFL with 18 clubs all in Victoria.
Yep.
It's just fucked.
Hutchie's bought the Wildcats. It's all wrong. It's all gone horribly wrong.
Just in case things weren't going bad enough.
We will crack on with the show in just a second, but thank you. We've got people jumping in already, which is fantastic to see. Share the show around, please. It'd be fantastic. Tag a mate. That's honestly the best thing. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, just tag a mate in the comments. Let them know that we're out there and jump in. We'll have a bit of a chat. Commiserate with us. Send us your thoughts on what you want to see in the rest of the season and where to from here for the West Coast Eagles. But yeah, share the show around. Fantastic to see you guys as well. Jump in the comments. We'd be really, really happy to hear from you. Gents, I think we soldier on with the show, and I think, unfortunately, we have to talk about the Bulldogs game. Now, normally in this one, I open up with a score. I go, West Coast Eagles, whatever, 10-10-70, defeated whoever they played by a lot. That didn't happen. I actually didn't even bother to research the score. That is how checked out from this game I have become. I normally even just bring up all the stats, all of that. Migs, I don't want a bar of it. And I'm going to read through some 3-word reviews because that'll tell you the story. Just to select that we could have had a lot here. We could have gone for days on the 3-word reviews. But Adam said just gave up. Greg and Steve both said not good enough. JS on Twitter said insipid and gutless. John says pressure non-existent. And amongst other things, Kane said midfield was thrashed. I think it's a pretty succinct cross-section of what went wrong. A shitty day at the office for the West Coast Eagles. It started weirdly with the announcement that crowds weren't going to be there, and it ended even worse.
Yeah, ended with, you didn't want to go through the scores, but I do remember it was a 45-point loss. 55-point loss.
Oh, good.
And we were lucky not to lose by more because it was 33 scoring shots to 13. So the Bulldogs could have really put us away. Could have put us away by quarter time, to be honest, and embarrassed us by a lot more. They kicked 20 behinds, so they make 5 of those, and then it's an 80-point loss that we're talking about, not a 55-point loss. So, yeah, as bad as it was, we were really lucky that it wasn't an even worse scoreboard for us. And I think Kane and probably some others there identified the main issue, which I thought was the midfield just not managing to get their hands on the fucking ball. Minus 15 in clearances, minus 30 in contested possessions, which would be terrible numbers in any situation. But we had Nick Nat absolutely dominating hitouts, and we had our star-studded A-team midfield out there. So I don't know how that happens, whether it was our structures were just terribly wrong, whether it was a lack of desire. Was everyone sort of expecting the other guy to go get it? I don't know. I actually submitted that question to the Ask Simmos segment, but
did you get a response?
Answered. So no, didn't answer that one, which either suggests he didn't have an answer himself or didn't want to give something away. But yeah, that's where it all started. Just couldn't get the ball out of the middle. And then we'll probably talk about everything else that went wrong, but it all flowed from there, I thought.
Yeah, we will talk about everything else that went wrong. Don't worry about that. Look, I will do my job. I'll call out these scores. We finished up, 6-7-43, 13-20 there for the Western Bulldogs. As you said, 20 behinds really kept us in the game. Keys, I know you didn't watch it, but let me run through what happened. The Dogs kicked the first goal. Then we kicked it, levelled it at 1-1, I believe, through Andrew Gaff. From there, 2 goals, 8 at quarter time for the Bulldogs, 4-12 at halftime. Could have been absolutely terrible. Despite all of that, West Coast was still in the game. And it got broken open in the fourth quarter. So basically what I'll ask you with this is, yet again, a fourth quarter capitulation for the Eagles. They were right in the game. Allen had a chance to kick something to bridge the gap. Rain, too tall, all of the same issues starting to crop up. The fourth quarter fade-outs by the Eagles are a massive concern for, really the long term, not even just this season. This is now something we have to be concerned about.
Yeah, fourth. I tell you what the concern is our guys get way too comfortable with themselves way too easily.
Mm.
You have a look back. I reckon the two seasons under Simpsons where we done really well were 2015 and 2018. Start of those 2 seasons, no one gave us a chance to be even in the 8, let alone contend. And right through those 2 years, right up until the very end, no one really gave us a chance in anything. So we're continually having to prove people wrong, having to prove that we were a proper contender and everything like that. 16, 17, 19, 20, and now this year, start of the season, we've been amongst the premiership fancies.
Yep.
And this year, so far, if we have a bad result and we get sort of a little bit of a pile on, a bit of criticism, the players usually respond. But as soon as they do that and they start looking like, maybe they might be back, and, there was sort of press in the lead up to last week's match about how the Eagles are back and they're contenders and they're watch out for the sleeping giant and stuff like that. We turn in that sort of shit. And I think there's a mentality amongst that they sort of, I don't think they do it consciously because no one picks and chooses. They don't sort of say, well, today we'll try and today we won't. But they get way too relaxed. So when we come up against a good side, we're just not prepared to put the work in. When we play the bottom teams, I think our talent gets us through, and we might have had a bit of a kick up the bum because we've had a shitty result somewhere along the line. So we pull our fingers out for 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then we sort of slaps back, and it's the guns are back, they'll do it, whatever. And it's not. This is the same as the Geelong game. It wasn't just 1 or 2 players having an off day. This was,
21
across
of them.
the board. It was a whole playing group, and so you look at the side, you look at the talent on the park. You've got McGovern, Barras, Hearn, Shepherd, Duggan as your main backline guys. You got Nat Nui, Kelly, Yo, Shuey, Gaff, Red,
the midfield.
Shee.
We've been waiting for this midfield. We've been
whole year. We had all them in. You've got Kennedy, Darling, Allen, Ryan, and Cripps up forward, and you've got a few other little bits and pieces in and around that fill in the last few bits and pieces. You can plug and play those guys, and you can alternate those last 5 or 6 guys in the list, and you're not going to make much difference to the side. That's 16 or 17. They're as good as any team in the comp, but they're mentally soft, and they just don't. When it's really, when the acid's put on, they don't show up, and it's not new to this year. It's been it's been 5 of the last 6 years.
So, Migs, let's talk about the midfield mix. We've had a couple of comments come through, sort of almost opposing sides of the coin here, or certainly, around this topic of the mids being underdone, maybe not being ready. Kim says, do you think the mids were just not game hardened yet? And Matt comes through and says, look, the guns are back in the midfield. They need a couple of games to work it all out again, which perhaps they do, but Migs, is it the case that maybe we brought them all back together too quickly? Did we need to stagger that a little bit better? Is it what Keys said? Everyone expecting someone else to go? Because we've been waiting for this midfield group to come back, and that's been what I've been pinning my hopes on, is that we're not yet healthy, and we'll see the real, quote-unquote, real Eagles when we're healthy. We're healthy. That's the real Eagles. They get comfortable, and they gave it away. What did you make of bringing everybody back all at once, Migs?
Yeah, I mean, certainly in hindsight, you'd say we probably needed to stagger those in a bit more. We brought in, well, Shepherd came back after a week out, but Shuey, McGovern, and Kelly had all had various lengthy injury layoffs, and then you've got Yo, who's been had a couple of weeks back as well. So yeah, hindsight would say we probably needed to stagger those guys a bit more. But I'm wondering as well whether that all those big names just don't work together, or they need to make some sort of adjustment to work together, because we haven't seen too often over the last 2 years Kelly, Shuey, Yo all in the same side, and I'm just wondering, I probably should have done some homework and gone back and seen what our record is with them, because we had them at the start of the season, start of last season, when we completely shat the bed in the first Queensland hub, and then we haven't had them again until the weekend. So the record with those guys is actually probably pretty poor when you look at it. So yeah, how long do we continue persisting with that, or do we try and change the mix up a bit? Maybe put, maybe move Shuey out of the midfield, or just change the mix up a bit, because when we've had all of those A grade guys in there, it hasn't worked, and we got absolutely shellacked. And as Simpson kept saying in his press conference and then in his Ask Simo segment, it wasn't just that they were unfit, not match fit, and they weren't running out the games. We were getting smashed from the first quarter.
Keys, the Simo chat has lifted up on the board once again. It always happens after a loss. I always race to his defence, but get rid of Simo, bring in player X, player Y, coach X, coach Y. Sam Mitchell's the reason we were good in 2018, or Don Pike in 2015. This, that, and the other, whatever. The issues that we're seeing from the Eagles are consistent issues, and I love Simo and I go into bat for him a lot, but they are consistent issues. Do you think that? Well, maybe not do you think, but what do you think is the issue in the coaching mix? Is it a coaching mix issue? Is it something that can be rectified? Because the game plan is seemingly not going to change. We've seen that now over a couple of years. Is it how do you shift the mentality? How do you shift the composition of the coaching box? Where do you get out of this lull where seemingly the Eagles get too comfy and just sort of go to water?
It's really hard from outside perspective to sort of know just what it is. I from an outside point of view, I think what we lack, and this is what people have raised about Sam Mitchell, is we don't have a bad cop. They're all good cops. Like, all the coaches are all sort of pretty cuddly, feely sort of guys, and maybe we don't have that. It's sort of something that I know we've argued with people on the board about it and things like that. Simo doesn't rant and things like that, but maybe just maybe there's we're missing an assistant coach that can maybe tell a few home truths and sort of put the acid on the players. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, from the outside point of view, it's really hard to tell. But you sometimes get the feel it's a little bit too little nice, touchy feely, and there's no real hard edge to the club. There's no, I mean, even we've been a pretty disciplined side for a long time, and we don't have any real campaigners. You know, so the guys will go. You don't have a guy who'll go out there and start throwing his weight around, and which is
you don't have an enforcer like a Bo Waters, and you don't have a prick like a Ballantyne.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you don't have, you know, in years go past, we've had like someone like Bo Waters or even Daniel Chick. You know, that'll go through, and they're not dirty, but they'll put some sort of physical pressure on, and like really maybe but you look at someone who you want to really, if the game's on the line and you want someone to really crash in and have oppositions sort of scared and looking around would see where he is, we don't have anyone like that.
it's Nick Nat, but it can't be your ruckman.
Yeah.
He's 5th in the league in clearances. He can't do it all once it hits the deck.
You know, most of the sides will have someone like a real hard nut type player. We don't have that, and I don't think we've got it in our coaching group either.
Bit of a concern there. Obviously, we'll discuss the dynamic of the season and the coaching group, etc., as things go on. Migs, we'll talk about the Swans game later as well. But to put the generic big footy question out, West Coast Eagles, where to from here? Like, what are we looking at for the season? We seemingly are now too far adrift of the top 4. So we're playing for 5th, probably 6th, possibly 7th, possibly 8th. Are we at the point yet where we're playing for our finals lives? Are we still got a nice enough buffer on the teams chasing? Like, what are we looking for now for the rest of the season? Keith said a week's a long time in football. You know, last week we were talking about the flag and top 4 and this, that, and the other. But if you put a line through us, which I think you might have to, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, it's tough to see us getting top 4 from this position. I think finals are still pretty much guaranteed, just because no one seems to want to work their way into the 8. We're trying to drop out desperately. There's still a pretty big gap between us and 9th. So as long as we don't have too many more complete shit in the bed losses, we'll probably scrape in. But as we've said probably last week and the week before and the week before that, history suggests that we don't win it from there, unless, you know, COVID strikes and the entire final series gets moved to Western Australia, which, you know, who knows whether that might happen. But we're sort of relying on an act of God to even make a prelim. It's not sure what Keys is doing there.
It's finding home.
Yeah. So, yeah, where to from here? I mean, we're staring down the barrel now of what will be our 3rd straight year when we bow out in the 1st or 2nd week of the finals. And, yeah, at some stage, I mean, there's been reasons for it every time, but they're a little bit harder to identify this time. We've got our full team back on the park now, and we're still losing games badly and still turning in the sort of performances that you just can't expect a premiership team to turn in. So, yeah, it's looking pretty grim, I suppose. But I don't know. It's tough to predict how the rest of this season will go, because from week to week we don't know which bloody Eagles team will turn up.
Too right. Gents, I reckon we leave it there. Not that we talked the ins and outs of the game so much, but more the fallout of the game. Nonetheless, I still think we park it there on the Bulldogs chat / round 15 chat. We'll move along with the pod. We'll get back to round 16. We'll get back to the on-field shit later on in the show. I think it's time to inject some energy, boys, and lift this thing back up. We've got to talk heroes and villains. It's the most popular segment of the show, so let's get stuck into it. Keys, heroes and villains time. Unmute yourself. We need a villain of the week. Let's go for it. Let's start things up. Who pissed you off the most this week? Some airing of the grievances needed, and I want to hear them.
Okay. Start off, look, there's a Victorian journalist called Daniel Cherney, I think. I think he's on the Age. And start of the week, he was squawking about, as soon as we went into lockdown, it looked like we might be, he was going on about, you know, the grand final being in Perth, and, you know, it's like, fuck off, we're going into lockdown. Stop gloating about it, you dumb prick. But Then we've got Gladys up in Queensland.
She's New South Wales.
And her health officer that's sort of turned into a rabid anti-vaxxer. They're all politicians this week. Scott Morrison.
That's fine.
Where the fuck is he? Yeah, if ever we needed some leadership at the moment, he just drops a hand grenade and says, "Oh yeah, just give the vaccine to everyone. Don't worry about it." And then goes silent while everyone else goes, "What the fuck is that about?" Yeah, the whole VFL back in the VFL back because everyone's in Melbourne, and it's just the narrative around Victoria saving the AFL. Fuck off.
I made very few notes for the showcase. You know, as I said, I didn't even write down the goddamn score. That's the one thing I've got. Vic Media, Vic saved the season, etc. Get stuffed. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, it is. It's just a happy act, and there's all sorts of little fucking bits of shit that come out. I mean, Fremantle was sort of saying, well, they've got to move their home game away from Optus because of lockdown, which Victorian clubs have had to do. So Fremantle was saying, okay, well maybe we'll play in Tasmania because we've got to play Hawthorn there the following week, which is perfectly fucking reasonable.
Good logic. Then
Tasmania said, no, you're not coming. So they said, well, we'll play in Geelong. Because we don't want to play Carlton at the MCG on the ground that they're well used to. And the Victorian dimwits are all, how come Fremantle get to decide where they fucking play? Carlton supporters are going. How come they get... Carlton fucking decided to play us in Sydney, the dumb cunts. Sorry. That one. Nope. That's a word I don't want to use on this.
That's campaigners is what that word is. And we'll censor that one out, I reckon.
Sorry about that, guys. Gail won't be happy.
No. Unlucky, guys.
So it's all of a sudden it's fine for Victorian clubs to choose where they play their home games if they have to shift them, which is perfectly fine. I mean, we had a few people whinging about us having to play Sydney at Cardinia Park, but most people sort of recognise that and said, well, look, that's fair enough. That's Sydney's home game. They should get to choose where they play it. Why are Fremantle getting pilloried because they choose to play their home game somewhere else? It's just all
at the MCG now anyway.
And now it's at the MCG in any case. So it's, I mean, you still got Richmond talking about playing at Marvel for crying out loud. And they've gone out
they don't play very well, as we just said.
Gold Coast a bit too hard to beat at home. It's tough trip to Marvel for those boys.
The whole, I mean, I'm not against the Victorian clubs. They all had to move away from home last year and what have you. The wheel turns and they get to stay home and the clubs get to go there. Yeah, it's just all fair enough. And I mean, from an Eagles perspective, I mean, Simo's been pretty clear during the week saying, well, it's our turn. And that's one good thing I've liked about our press this week is we haven't whinged at all about having the hub or, being messed around. We've been, it's a challenge, it's not ideal, but that's what it is, and we'll just take whatever comes. But the whole Victorian thing can just fuck right off.
Yep, love it. Similar theme from me. Victorian hubs, all of that bullshit. Jack Rewalt said if there was a hub, he'd lean towards heading home. Everyone goes, yeah, reasonable, that's fair enough. And it's fair enough. It's your choice. Do what you like. We talked about the St Kilda family situation last week or whatever that was. So fair enough. Do what you got to do. everybody's slapping Jack Riewoldt in the back for saying that he doesn't want to go for a lengthy hub. And then the second Vic hub's on the menu, Victoria saved the season. Aren't we bloody good? Giving themselves a pat on the back and a reach around Migs. It's embarrassing. It's Vic-centric. We've talked about how Vic-centric it all is. Terrible. That's my Villain of the Week nomination as well. 3 from 3 from yourself, I'm sure. Anybody else to throw on the pile?
I had Brian Taylor, probably a weekly nomination, but geez, he's unlistenable. And yeah,
based on the Doggies game, because it was shit. Yeah.
Just let Jason Bennett do it himself. Eddie, continuing in that theme of shit commentators, for saying in the pre-match that it was the Bulldogs' first game against us in WA since the 2016 elimination final that they won. When we've actually played them 3 times since then and won 3.
Yep. Good.
I'm pretty sure he meant it was the last time they'd beaten us here, but he's an arse, so it's fun to point out when he's an arse. And whichever umpire didn't pay that front-on spoil from Caleb Daniel on Gaff, which was so
good on Caleb Daniel.
Opened him up.
I was going to raise
Daniel
that
for getting somebody high.
Yeah.
The one bit, the 20 seconds of the game I did see was that non-free kick, which that is a free kick every day of the week and twice on Sundays, or apparently none on Sundays.
None.
There was a tweet I saw that Juxtasupposed, how do you say it? Pronunciation, I don't know. The free kick, the non-free kick, when was a free kick? Free kick against Maynard.
Liam Henry.
Against Henry. And
but that was funny because it was Maynard.
Touch Henry. I mean...
Yeah, but... Yeah.
I mean, it was funny because it was Maynard and, you know...
Absolutely.
But those two decisions side by side is a complete mockery, and it's everything that's wrong with the umpire at the moment. That, like, either they're both free kicks or they're neither free kicks, but you can't. The one where the player didn't touch the guy is a free kick, and the one where the guy, I mean, fucking Footscray supporters saying, Daniel got the ball and the contact the gaff was incidental. It's like, yeah, okay, that makes it not reportable, but and it's
the stitches he needed were incidental.
Eye contact, whether it's incidental or not, is a free kick.
Yeah,
all the time. And
that when you're going back with the flight like that, you've got to get it absolutely perfect. Otherwise, you give away a free kick.
100%.
So yeah, so that I sort of half forgotten about that, but yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Andrew Brayshaw's incidentally broken jaw. One more from me was Cam Mooney, similar in the media, having a whinge about the media. The game finished. Eddie Maguire and were sitting around the panel, and they're all going, "Oh, that was strange." And Eddie said something about, Eagles, you know, how much of an issue is it losing the crowd, not making an excuse, and everyone pretty much said, "Nah, losing the crowd doesn't make that much of a difference because it was a thumping and it should have been by more." And that was fine. That's a fair comment. Of course it is. The club were terrible. But then Cam Mooney just off the bat, out of the blue, went, "Oh, well, you know, they're sooking about not having a crowd and they played like sooks." Who the fuck was sooking about not having a crowd? There wasn't even time to sook about not having a crowd. They told us 5 minutes before the ball was bounced. What the hell sort of... Anyway, getting rolled up, having a sook. G'day, Cam, if you're listening. Vic saved the season is the villain of the week, right, gents? That's what it is.
Yeah.
100%.
Clean sweep. Vic saved the season. Hero time. Let me lead off. I have a hero. What is it? It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 p.m. if you're watching this one live, WA time. As of 7:59 WA time, I don't think I had a hero. At 8 o'clock, I did. The Gold Coast Suns defeated Richmond at home at, what are you calling it now? Marvel it is. Let's go around the table, gents. How many words from the Gold Coast Suns song do you know? Like, how many lines do you confidently think you could do in a row? I think it starts with...
Suns on the mighty west. Fuck, that's it.
I don't think that's even... So it goes, we are the sons of the Gold Coast Sky. And then it says...
I know the line. We play to win the flag for you, because that just sounds so naff.
Right, here we go. Cam's coming through. Let's dunk on the Tigers. It'll make me happy. We're shit, but at least they're a little bit shit as well. Cam says, poor Tigers having to travel again. I know, all the way down to bloody Marvel. 10 minutes on the tram or whatever it is. So it goes, we are the sons of the Gold Coast Sky. We are the team in the red, gold, and blue, I think is the line, because blue is what rhymes with.
Yeah.
And then it says, we are the mighty Gold Coast Suns.
Flag
we play
for
to win
you.
the flag for you. And then it goes, fight, fight, fight. Five lines, I reckon that's a world record. I don't think anybody else in the world knows more than 5 lines of the Gold Coast Suns song.
How many times has it been played? Like after a win, maybe
Cumulatively.
30 times total?
Yeah.
Go on,
40?
then. Have a guess. Everybody have a guess. Gold Coast total wins in club history.
In what, 11 years?
Yeah, 11 years.
Yeah,
I'm going to go 42.
37.
42, and what was that mixed?
37.
37. I should have guessed before I pulled up the table. That was dumb. Why did I do that? All right. The Gold Coast Suns, which I'm assuming does not include tonight, have won, well, including tonight, let's go with that, 57 games of their 230 games. They have a record of 57, 2, and 171. So, you know what? It's been played a fair few times. Look, good luck to them. Good luck to the boys. Sal comes in with 50. Very close guess. No big sound, says Cam. Absolutely not. So anyway, Gold Coast Suns made me laugh. They beat Richmond. Sir Swamp Thing pointed out that the Suns are 8-1 when Tom Lynch kicks 5 goals. Of course, he kicked 5 goals for Richmond tonight. So Gold Coast Suns are my hero. Anybody else have anything good happen to them this week?
That was a fair burn, that one.
This is all we have now. It's just dunking on Richmond.
Yeah.
Matt here in the comments talking about the trumpet. Sorry, Dave's one last thing about the Suns.
I actually was going to nominate.
I like that part.
Reminds me a little bit of our previous version of our song before the Birds of Tokyo version that had just had the trumpet getting louder and louder as it went. Yeah, terrible. I was going to nominate the AFL just for managing to get this round away with shutdowns all over the country.
We vote the heroes.
But they're not very popular usually, but they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, let's talk AFL as a hero, but we know they can't win it. Gold Coast is a strong favourite from me still thus far. Any more heroes, Mix?
Yeah. No, the only other one I had was Nick Nat for being the one player to actually show up against the Bulldogs.
Good stuff, Nick. G'day if you're listening. Keys, heroes from yourself?
How so?
Oh, actually, no. Sorry, more.
How so, Suma? How so?
I know what you're doing.
Seen that?
Yeah, sorry. Nix, we'll get back to you on that, but I see what Keys is doing here. Yeah, if you didn't see it, Suma did an interview on Fox Footy or AFL Live, something
Fox
like that.
Footy it was, yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you, Kath.
So I'll run you through it if people haven't
just need to tinker a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
They just need to tinker a bit.
We're a Freo.
Yeah, they need to.
What's your assessment of Freo?
What do they need to tinker? Oh, they need to tinker a lot.
Yeah. Oh, they're good. No, they're good. They're building in the right direction. They might make the 8. Next year they could push for the top 6. Just a couple of changes. Nothing major, but a few little changes could help them really push. What sort of changes, Suma?
Like the better sides.
Oh, big changes.
And then he just stares in the camera and blinks for half an hour. I couldn't hear. No, how so, Suma? How long? A couple changes. Couple changes for the Dockers. That was good. I liked that.
Yes, okay. The other one, I'm going to switch clubs. Sean Burgoyne, 400 games.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think anyone who gets 400 games in AFL, that's a fair effort. And he's been an ornament to the game for most of his career. Like I don't think he's done anything really dirty, or he's just been a real class player. I'm pretty sure first Indigenous player to hit 400. I think
I saw that. Yep.
Yeah.
He's when Port Adelaide traded in the Hawthorn, most people thought he was cooked and didn't know what Hawthorn were doing, giving up a first round draft pick for him. But they've got massive value out of him, and he was a good player at Port. His brother was a shithead.
Yeah.
But Sean Burgoyne, he's everything that's good about our game. So he's a hero. He's my nomination for hero.
Pretty solid. Migs, heroes from yourself?
The only other one I had was whoever it was that made the meme of Keys as Kenza.
Yes, I like this. I like this a lot. I won't be able to put it up on the screen, unfortunately. So
yeah, it was just one meme. You're right.
It was just, but nice little meme there. Let me see if I can bring up the name of the person who sent it in. Sorry, but I like that. I like that we're getting memes made about the show. Make a meme. Just make a gif of us. Make a meme of us doing something stupid. I don't care. Makes me laugh. Do that. Who was it on? It was Sweet. SW3ET. Sweet on Big Footy was the one that made the meme. Got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. There's keys in this segment here. Bit of a, I actually didn't think we'd get a race for hero this week because I do like the Suns, but I also like Sean Burgoyne. So who are we giving heroes to?
Burgoyne, I suppose.
Yeah, Burgoyne's probably fair. Kim liked the Beagles for winning their second game. Keys, you put him forward. I reckon Sean Burgoyne.
Yeah, we haven't looked at it.
Yeah, Berg, Silk.
Nicely done. A bit of news now. We'll talk about the Vic Hub situation. We'll blend that into a Swans preview of sorts. Migs, the boys have packed up. They've left WA. They're heading back to Victoria, back to the home of football, back to where it should always be played. And they're going to be there hopefully for 1 week, but they might have to come back. So where are we sitting on this one? Because if the WA government, if WA come out of lockdown, they should be able to come back home, right? They're saying they're prepping for a stay in a hub, but Migs, I would have thought they'd be able to come back home, all things considered, maybe just play in an empty stadium again. So what's your take on the Vic Hub situation long term?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if our numbers are tracking well, so if we do come out of a lockdown here by Friday, there shouldn't really be any reason, I suppose, why we can't host North Melbourne here next week. The only reason, I suppose, would be that the AFL is worried about if North Melbourne come over here, then they'll hit issues going back again. If Victoria or other states are treating us as unclean, which would probably be fair because that's what we've done to all the other states over the journey. But that's the if we come out of lockdown, we haven't had any other community transmissions in the next few days, then fingers crossed that we can play that game here. I mean, what you really don't want to see happen is the team stay over there and then be fixtured to play that game in Hobart because the AFL would like to get a North game in Hobart away, and it's a good opportunity because that would be pretty unfair. Giving up our home advantage is one thing, but then playing at a bloody freezing cold ground that is North's second home would be pretty unfair. Be nice if they couldn't play it here. It'd be nice to get a game at the MCG the way that the Dockers have this week, because apparently I did see some stat that we've actually played there over the last few years more than North has. So
5 times
that would almost
North have played there since 2016, which is pretty spectacular when you think about it. 5 times.
But look, fingers crossed that we head back to something approaching normal Friday night, Saturday morning. Touch wood.
Keys, let's do a worst case scenario. Obviously within the scheme of football, not the true worst case scenario with COVID and lockdowns and people's jobs and et cetera, et cetera. Let's not get into that side of it. We'll keep it with the footy side of things. Worst case for the Eagles is they're stuck away from Optus because we've seen how they thrive at home usually. Let's say we go into a hub and it lasts for a couple of weeks. With the run of games that we've got coming up, are you genuinely concerned about the finals prospects for the Eagles if they do have to stay in Victoria?
I think we should beat North. We lose that. I mean, look, and if we aren't beating North, well, finals is the least of our problems.
Yep.
So, regardless of where that game's played, we should be able to beat North. Then we're due to play I think, Adelaide in South Australia.
Yep.
If my memory is. So we should,
Yeah.
that's not a change. So again, we should be able to win that one. Then we're due to play the Saints, I think. That's 3 weeks away. So you would think that by then things would have settled down. So I reckon there's probably a 50-50 chance that we'll play North over here. What are you pointing at, Mick?
Miggs is muted. He's muted himself, but he's seemingly trying to make a point.
Crossed.
Oh, his fingers crossed. I see what this is.
Crossed.
I thought it was technical error.
I think we're 50-50 that we'll play North, with or without the crowd remains to be seen. And then, I mean, the only state at the moment that's really struggling with COVID is New South Wales. So I think the Giants in Sydney have got they're going to be away from home for a while. I think we're fairly, but yeah, worst case scenario, we have to play North, either in Melbourne or I can absolutely see VFL moving it to Tasmania.
Yeah,
because it's just the sort of shit they do.
Tasmania might put the kibosh on that.
Tasmania might turn around and go, no, we don't want any dirty Eagles. So
feeling is mutual.
There we go. But I think it's just a matter of, we saw with the Bulldogs last weekend. They were holed up in a hotel for a week, and they came out and were still able to play pretty good footy. So, there's no excuses for us with that. Other clubs have had to do it, and they've performed. We should be able to. So, yeah, we'll just see how we go. But I think, hopefully we do get to see us back here against North Melbourne on whatever day it's going to be. We'll see.
It'll be the Sunday.
Apparently, the club needs the money.
Evidently.
In amongst all the other shit things, you had Trevor Nisbet basically begging for money, which,
right,
is kind of sad to see. But I think there was an article or a little tweet I saw. Our revenue dropped by over half.
6 million or something.
It's like 55% downturn, and it just showed how. And Nisbet's out saying that the 2 home games with no crowds will cost us about $6 million. Just goes to show just how very reliant we are on match day revenue for our. We've always had good crowds, but that's the main money spender for the club is match day crowds. So hopefully we do get to get a game back here, because that's. We're taking a pretty big financial hit, and it seems we seem to be structured differently to other clubs in that respect, because most of the other clubs didn't have anywhere near that same drop in revenue. Mind you, they all get money from the AFL and pokies, which makes up for
it.
Yeah. I reckon we move off the what ifs and they're looking down the road too far. I reckon it's time to turn our attention back to the footy, back on the field. Let's talk about the Sydney game, gents. It is coming up, and we'll talk about it now. West Coast Eagles versus Sydney. It is round 16 of the AFL season. It is this Sunday, 11:10 WA time. Fantastic time slot. Thanks again, guys. Migs, we're playing at GMHBA Stadium. The weather is going to be poor again. It's a ground that we've got a bad record at. We've done away with one hoodoo. We beat Carlton at the SCG. We haven't won in Geelong for a long time. Had a shocking day at the office there earlier on this year. So we've got the ins and outs coming up on the screen now as well. Foley is named as an in. Jones, Langdon, Vardy and Witherden. The 2 outs are Ryan suspended and Nelson, who was the sub, has been listed as an out. What do you make of the team? What do you make of Sydney playing at GMHBA? What do you make of our chances?
Well, I think we've got a good chance because it's a ground that Sydney don't play that often at either. I suppose
Sydney
our mids have...
Sydney are 50-50 at that ground over the last... since we won last. So they've won, I think they've won 4, lost 4. So they actually play over there all right.
Big shout out, by the way, to Essendon playing the first game at GMHBA for premiership points since 1993. But anyway, there we go. Back to it.
I think that was the last finals win as well, wasn't it? 1993.
Oh, actually, hold up. No, it wasn't. I've got the stat for this. Hang on. Yeah. Swamp tweeted it out. He's just been on an absolute tear this week. Yeah. Where is it?
He's gone full troll, hasn't he?
He really has. Essendon have won 14 finals since the last time they played a game for premiership points in Geelong. There you go, Migs.
Yeah. My focus for this game is on the middle because that's where we lost the Bulldogs game. We've got our Simo's backed our stars mids to turn it around, so which I think he has to do. But we're not going to be able to rely on the silver service from Nick Nat this game, I don't think. Tom Hickey, who you might remember played a few games for us, he's in great form over there. He'll know better than anyone how to nullify Nick's taps, so I don't think they can rely on him winning them all, not that that helped us against the Bulldogs. Sydney, historically, are a team that love stoppages. They're currently 5th in total clearances, although they're actually minus 10 for the season, and they're 4th in contested possessions, but 1st in contested possessions against. So they're used to a game style that is very sort of stop-start, a lot of stoppages. They don't necessarily dominate those stoppages, but they're at least used to them, whereas we look a little bit like we don't like getting our hands dirty. So that's unfortunate. And that stoppage style will suit Cardinia Park because of just how narrow it is. I think if we try and do our usual kick mark game style and hug the boundary, then there'll be a lot of balls spoiled across the line. So we'll have a lot of stoppages, and we might struggle to pick our way through with the narrow ground. We do like to try and spread the ground, and that's just not possible when there's a boundary fence in the way. So, that's probably part of the reason why we haven't won there since God knows when. And our mids are going to need to fix up their contested game quick smart, I think, because once again, that's where the game's going to be won and lost.
Number 1 tackling team in footy versus the number 18 tackling team in footy. It bodes well for an... Oh, go on.
Can I guess which is which? Say Sydney have probably won.
You've nailed it. Hats off, Migs. Hero of the week. You've absolutely nailed that one. Keys, we haven't won at Geelong forever. I mentioned just before, and we were all there, we were all commentating it of all things, that we had a shocking day at the office when we went there last. Aside from the usual stuff, all right, can the Eagles respond after a loss? Will the mids lift, et cetera, et cetera? Do you think we learned anything that day against Geelong? And do you think we learned anything that we can apply? Like, what do you think we can take away from at least having seen the ground in our relatively recent history?
I think the key to that ground is you've got to attack through the middle. You've got to.
Keys is bringing in another guest.
No. Look at
that. This is harkening back to the original days of the pod where Oka used to just sit and eat in the show.
You're doing a Mark Thompson. You're just going to sit there and eat a sandwich while it goes on.
So comfortable. He's going to sit and eat a sandwich.
Right. No. It's my daughter's made it for herself.
Even better. Just rub it in your face.
That's not for me. That's just she was just waving in front of me. The Shaggy Chic Shack. I don't know if you heard that in the press conference. One of the exposure sites, she works there.
Oh, Kay's just giving away a little bit too much personal information on the stream once again. Love to see that. Kay's back to Geelong, I reckon.
Thanks for keeping up my workplace stats.
Pretty much Mark McGowan did that when he was talking about shagging chicks. Straight down the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I think if we learn anything, that's where that's where Geelong got us. They just opened us up through the middle of the ground. And we saw against Richmond, we actually, when we turned our attention to it, we can actually attack through the middle of the ground. We've got to be brave, and we've got to get away from this first option looking sideways. We've got to look forward when we move the ball. So it's along the ground. So we've got to, you've got to move through the middle, because if you go down the sides, you're not going to get it deep forward when you do enter. So hopefully, if we've learnt one thing, that's what it is, that you've got to go through the middle of the ground. And that's something we should be trying with the midfielders that we've got. It's something that we should be trying to do anyway.
Migs, let's talk Buddy Franklin. The backline for the Eagles were exposed, probably due to the poor work of the mids, but, Gov had his hands full. Barras had his hands full, even though I thought he actually did his best. But, in the end, the weighted numbers was way too much, and a more accurate Bulldogs would have put up a historic score. So Lance Franklin is still the spearhead. He's still the guy that makes everything run down there for the Swans. There is talent all around him, and, if the mids just don't turn up, well, good luck to the backs. Do you think Barras is the matchup? Do you think there's a change in the way they structure the back line, with Foley and Witherden listed as potential ins? How do you think they're going to go about trying to slow down the Swans defensively?
I think Barras is the obvious matchup, and I was actually worried when it was looking like he might not come up after he copped a hit to the ribs.
Yep.
I was worried who we might actually put on him, because I can't really see a second option. So, yeah, I think Barras is the obvious option, but part of it will be denying the number of inside 50 entries that we gave to the Bulldogs, something like 64 or something. So, yeah, as you said, if they get that volume of supply, of course they're going to kick a huge score, and especially when Norton was marking everything. So, yeah, just need to deny them that supply, but also you've got to walk this fine line between sort of helping out Barras on Buddy, but not sort of getting all sucked into the contest. And that was something, I can't recall now who Sydney played last week, but I watched a bit of it, and there was a few times where Port, was it? Did they beat Port? Or they came. They
lost.
They did beat Port, didn't they?
They rampaged home, and then Lysette kicked the sealer.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, there was plenty of times during that game where a whole heap of defenders were just sort of drawn to Buddy, and it left all his teammates open. And Sydney were pretty good at most of the time at finding those open guys. So yeah, we've got to walk this. Our backline's got to walk this fine line between helping out Barras and making sure he's not left one out on Buddy if we can help it, but also not, all getting sucked in and leaving the other blokes open. I think we match up pretty well back there. Barras on Buddy. Gov probably gets a Marty or whoever the resting ruckman is. I think Rotham's probably a good matchup for Hayward. I think Shep's a good matchup for Heaney. Not quite sure who goes to Papley. It'll probably be Cole, I suppose. But yeah, it'll just come down to denying them, really, the volume of inside 50s they need to kick a score.
Keys, we'll take a look at our forward line. The lead story for me is Jack Darling. Now, Liam Ryan's out, so the dynamics shifted a little bit. I expect to see Jermaine Jones come in. Jack Darling, through, 9 games of the season, had 26 goals. Nearly 3 a game. Since then, he kicked 1, 1, 1, and back-to-back, not just goalless, but scoreless games. Going scoreless in back-to-back games for the first time since 2019, when we played Port in the wet and then Geelong once again. So it's very, very out of character, out of the blue run of bad form from Jack Darling. What's the circuit breaker? How do we get him involved? Kennedy's not going to be able to win it off his own boot. We didn't get Allen involved enough last week. How do we fix the forward line?
Yeah, he's a worry. I mean, he's like, he's borderline giving him a spell. Yeah, the last I think the stat was it's 16 of the last 20 quarters he hasn't kicked a goal, something like that, or maybe 20 out of 24.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a sustained run of band form from him. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, there's some of those games we would have had, at least one of them we would have had Kennedy. He's just sort of struggling to find the role. So do we change it up and just get him higher up the ground and get him to push up onto the wings, or pushing up through the middle of the ground to try and straighten us up and be that target? As we talked about moving the ball through the middle of the ground. Maybe Darling sort of starting at just inside the 50 and starts letting up into the centre square to draw the ball and then move it that way and keep Kennedy deep. I'm not sure, but at the moment that the three forwards isn't quite working. And Darling's the one that I don't think Allen's having a great run at the moment either, to be honest.
No.
So throw Darling in the rack. Fuck it.
Give him a spell on the ball. Let's do that.
The Robert Walls option. Give him a run.
Thanks, Robert Walls.
Give him a run in the rack. I don't quite know what we do with him. Push Allen back to play on Buddy because he's got the athleticism to go with him. Darling's form's it's a problem.
Put him on Buddy. Right on time in the comments.
There's an echo in the comments.
Has anyone suggested playing him as a non-baller?
Yeah, I said give him a spell in the middle. Throw that big body around. No, but we need a circuit breaker. We do, because I don't want to bag him because I'm a big fan of him and I think he's going to develop even further. But Waterman seems at sea for a few weeks. Jones, he probably gets a reprieve because Ryan's out. So Jones comes in for Ryan. You'd say it's the dynamic's just not there at the moment.
I wouldn't be Waterman's named on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised to see Langdon come in for Waterman.
Yeah, that was my change as well.
And I don't think I think there's very valid reasons for why that might happen. Waterman, our forward line mix isn't quite gelling, and I think we've got too many marking targets and not enough crummers. And I think in a funny kind of way, it'd be interesting to see how we go without Ryan in the side, because Ryan doesn't play like a true crumbing forward. He's more of a lead-up type forward. So, which, as you said, Badge, may actually save Waterman because he's more of a lead-up forward. I would like to see us just run Cripps, Petch, Langdon, and Jones, and have Shewing and Kelly spending time at half forward as well. If Luke Edwards retains his spot, and actually Edwards showed against Richmond, if you throw him in around and give him a go, he can find the footy. He had a quiet game against the Bulldogs, yeah, sure, but I reckon that's because
he had an amazing game against the Bulldogs. Yeah, but he played 80% of game time. He ran 14 Ks. He was in our top 5 on the tracker.
And what did he come away with? 6 touches or something?
5 touches. Yeah, 5 touches in 14 Ks. That's a lot. He got pushed right off it with
So I think you can make a case. Like I said, I haven't watched the game, so it's really hard.
No, but you're right. You've nailed it.
Is given the responsibility to find the footy. It showed against Richmond when he does get his hands on it, he uses it well. He makes good decisions.
Yeah.
And he's got the run give it to him, and then that way you can use Kelly as a half forward if he's sort of trying to work his way back. Kelly showed at Geelong, if he plays as a half forward, he can hit the scoreboard. Try that. Try. I mean, the season's not quite in the line, but I mean, a loss here really,
It is every other week.
Yeah, seemingly.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the ladder. I mean, we're kind of in that 6th to 8th range.
Yep.
If we want to push up, a win sort of entrenches us in the top 6 at least, and a loss just puts us back right in the mix with scummy sides like Richmond and Fremantle and Essendon.
The crap of the AFL.
Change something up. Just have a look. Just go, right, let's just try something different. We're at a different ground. What we've got to lose? Just try a few different things to see if something can work. So I say, okay, Kelly, don't put Kelly in the centre bounce. Put Shelby and Yo in the centre bounce with Redden. Because I think the problem we have is when we've got guys like Shelby and Yo and Kelly, they're all ball hunters. They're not the guys that are going to sit and be defensively minded. And I think I read somewhere that, Sheed and Redden in particular sort of looked like they had their centre bounce minutes down. And I think Redden in particular, if we had guys like Liberatore chopping us up, if Redden wasn't in the centre square, that'd be maybe something to do with it. So
yep, love it. More Edwards on the ball.
Try something different.
Shuey half forward more often than not. Kelly half forward more often than not. I don't mind any of that. Like you said, Kelly can kick a goal. Shuey can kick a goal. We've thrown around Shuey as a half forward option in the past as well because save his legs and all this sort of stuff. Just go Edwards, throw some big bodies around and a little bit of grunt, a little bit of aggression. Julian in the comments says it might be worth bringing in Vardy or Williams considering the Swans like going with 2 rucks. I'd be avoiding the 2 rucks if we can help it. Let Nick Nat do his thing. Chop him out with Allen if you must, or Darling for God's sake, I don't care who. And I'd be loading up on the runners, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe a return to 2 rucks on the horizon there, Migs. Migs, lead us off in the... Keys, go for it, and then we'll get into tips.
I think if you're going to bring either Vardy or Williams in, then you've got to take Darling or Allen out. So that becomes a really big call.
Fair enough. Yep, that's a fair call. Migs, who's going to win? Do the Eagles entrench themselves above the Swans and really settle into a nice run into the finals, or is it properly nervous times at West Coast?
It's always nervous at the moment. I'm picking us to win with my heart more than my head, partly because you don't know who's going to bloody turn up. Good opportunity to bury another hoodoo at the ground. It's a good opportunity to bounce back and show a bit of ticker after last week. It's a great opportunity it's a real 8-point game. It's a great opportunity to leapfrog Sydney on the ladder because we've been sitting in that 7th spot forever. Pick us by 15. Best of field to be Elliot Yeo, who's now had a few games back, and he'll be ready to bust out and throw his weight around against some of the Sydney clearance machines.
Beautifully done. For myself, I'm going to go West Coast Eagles to win. I don't know why I'm doing it. Hope. Again, same as you, Migs. More hope than logic on this one. Eagles by 5, let's say that. Tim Kelly, sentimental favourite. Knows the ground, plays the ground well. Bounce back. He copped a fair bit of flack last week. Rightly so. Wasn't good. But he wasn't alone there, Keys, so I hope Tim Kelly leads us back on the weekend. Who do you like?
I think if the pattern of our season holds true, I think we'll win. Seems to be that thing that, we do seem to be able to respond to losses. We responded to the Geelong loss from memory pretty well. I think it was the Derby after the Geelong game.
It was. 10-goal win. Yeah. Migs holding up a 4 and a 2. Is that result after losses, is it?
Yeah, so we're
just trying to predict Keys' margin.
We lost 2 in a
Oh,
row.
24.
We lost we lost to Essendon after we lost to the Giants. So, but the Giants was a little bit different, and that wasn't a really bad loss. That was like
It was a good
an
game.
honourable loss if you want to go down that path. So it wasn't like a, poke the bear loss, like the Bulldogs one was. So I think the guys will be keen to redeem themselves. I think they will. So Sydney will give us a fight, but we'll win by 2 points. And
I was wrong.
And Tom Hickey will make the mistake that he regularly made at training and poke the bear, and Nat Nui will be best on, because Hickey will win the first ruck knock and he'll regret it for the rest of the match.
And the rest of his life. All right, I reckon we leave it there, gents. It's been a strange week for the West Coast Eagles, but hopefully they can roll on Sunday and get things back on track a little bit. Big shout out to the Gold Coast Suns once again. They improved my Thursday night quite significantly. Thank you, gents. Migs, Keys, fantastic to see you again, guys. Go well on the weekend, and fingers crossed West Coast Eagles. To everybody in the comments, thank you very much for jumping on, sending us your thoughts, tag a mate, share the show, tell somebody to jump on board with us next week as well, and share the love a little bit. Hopefully we're recapping an Eagles victory. Guys, I will leave you there, but until then, all the best for the Eagles in round 16, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
What?